Good evening, everyone. My name is Denyel Fonseca from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and I am your Hyde Park Liaison. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I do want to emphasize that I am here tonight to facilitate the statutorily required cannabis community outreach meeting. This is an application at 1295 to 1297 River Street, doing business as Suite 420 Wellness. This applicant is seeking a license for retail, manufacturing, and wholesale delivery. After this meeting has adjourned, any questions, comments, please feel free to email them directly to me or to the Cannabis Board. I will put my email in the chat at the end, as well as say it for those of you who are joining us by way of telephone, but it is also on the flyer that you all should have received for attending this meeting. Before we start, I would like to go over my expectations for tonight's meeting. I know this can be a sensitive topic, and I want to make it clear that no decisions are being made tonight, and at no time will it be acceptable to be disrespectful to anyone during this meeting. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and there is no right or wrong opinion. We're here tonight to try to collect as many comments and questions or concerns for this proposal. I'm not here to facilitate debates amongst neighbors or relegate state legislation. I ask that all questions be directed towards the applicant and myself only. The applicant will be here to answer all questions related to their proposal to the best of their ability, while I'm here to answer questions regarding the city's process. So for example, the city holds these meetings that I am hosting tonight, and then they'll proceed to the Cannabis Board and the Cannabis Control Commission at state. If I am unable or the applicant is unable to answer any of your questions here tonight, we will follow up with you after the meeting to get you that information. This is an open comment period, meaning that if you do not get called on tonight, or if you think of any questions that have not been answered, all you need to do is reach out to us and we will work on getting you that information. Again, my contact information has been included on the flyer, and I will say that at the end and put it into the chat. There will be no questions during the presentation. So again, I please ask everyone to keep their device muted until we get to the Q&A portion. Once again, this is not a debate on legalization or the morality of cannabis. That debate occurred at the ballot box, and we are here today because it was overwhelmingly supported in the city. The applicant is going to go through their presentation in a timely manner, and the remainder of the time will be left open for a Q&A. Each person will have a maximum of 2 minutes to speak. And once that time has passed and the applicant has answered that question, we will move on to the next question. I want to thank everyone again for your time to participate in tonight's meeting. And now I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Janice so she can go through her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Hello, everyone. I thank you all for coming out this evening to get an introduction to my business proposal for Hyde Park Dispensary. And I will not take up too much of your time, and I will get right into it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. If we could just ask again, if you could mute your phones, mute your microphones there. That would be great. So introduction, my name is Janice Israel, and I am proposing, as Danielle mentioned, dispensary, adult use retail, manufacturing, and home delivery at 1295-97 River Street. So I will share the screen. Okay. And Danielle, please let me know if you can't see it too well.
I can see it. If anyone is having trouble seeing the video this evening, please just relay that in the chat. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so this proposal is for a minority-owned, woman-owned business. This company is looking to start a vertically integrated cannabis business in Hyde Park. I'm Janice Israel, the CEO. I'm a social equity awardee and a Boston Equity awardee. I grew up in Mattapan, not too far from this area, actually on River Street, and mostly lifelong Boston resident. This would be a vertically integrated business with 3 separate complementary license types, working in tandem to maximize efficiency, profit, and create more employment opportunities through empowering entrepreneurship. As we know, the Cannabis Control Commission has set aside this designation for restorative justice to those who have been disproportionately harmed by the war on drugs. Suite 420 Wellness will also assist Massachusetts with this initiative through efforts that will be described in the Plan for Positive Community Impact. Positive community impact includes creating space for cannabis, where we help other entrepreneurs from disproportionate areas get started in business by offering real estate services, education, strategic partnerships, as well as business guidance through networking events, just to name a few. As I mentioned myself, I am a graduate of Northeastern University with a bachelor's degree. I took some classes at Harvard University. I'm a local realtor. I've been a realtor for 22 years now. And as I mentioned, the certifications through Boston. And I have gone through numerous cannabis education programs and received accolades for work in the industry, in the cannabis industry. I'm currently listed on the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission website as pro bono services. And that is where I assist people with any real estate questions that they have related to the cannabis industry. And I've been doing that for about 3 years. And I help other businesses find their locations as well. So I've done programs I've done the Cultivate Launch program. It's an accelerator program at a Cultivate Cannabis company. And I've gone over these things here. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, like I mentioned, with the real estate. And so some of the companies that I'm working with this business the first one is Flow Hub for compliance. They do dispensary management and payment. It's a platform, helps retailers stay compliant, streamline operations, and helps retailers sell more cannabis with full flexibility and control, helps dispensaries run fast, smooth, and compliant business operations. So as we know, we're very much in the future. So we have a lot of automated systems to assist with these types of businesses. Also working with ISG, Integrated Security Systems, for the security. And so that is John Greiner, who I believe he's on the call. I didn't get to see if he's come on yet, but he potentially will be available to answer any additional security questions that we may have at the end. So ISG is a managed security solutions business. We can read more about them and I can give you more information. And also Adaptive HR, TNT Remodeling for the actual construction, Fussin O'Neill, the civil transportation environmental engineer, and Cavaney Architectural Collaboration for the architectural. So some bullet points on my plan for positive community impact would be offering inclusive job creation prioritizing Boston residents, extremely secure location. This will be inside and outside of the facility. If we have an open mind about these types of businesses, and if we really look at it, they're very, very similarly lined up as liquor stores, and it's just more security. So if you think of a liquor store and how frequent they are in our neighborhoods, this is the same type of business. This is going to be a business where everyone who walks through the doors will be ID'd, where a liquor store is not. A liquor store, someone can walk in, they could buy candy or gum or chips or anything, any age, and they're actually exposed to that, where this would only be for adults. Okay, so let's just go through some more of the positive impact, which would be my plan to get a host community agreement with Boston. This would be increased tax revenue for the town that it's in. We could talk more about the 3% impact fee that goes to the town and how we can find ways to benefit the town. Currently, there is no retail dispensaries in Hyde Park. So, this is a huge tax revenue benefit that Hyde Park is missing out on and, could really benefit from. Some other things I'll be doing is educational seminars, offering to the community expungement clinics, educational programs for previously incarcerated individuals to boost morale, motivation, and reduce recidivism. So a little bit of information about the facility. It's at 1295 97 River Street. It's 3,600 square feet of retail space. It's in line with other retailers in the area. The area is zoned commercial and it's zoned for shopping centers. The proposed hours of operation is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. The liquor store that is feet away is open until 11 p.m. As we know, this area is the bridge. If we got some neighbors on the call, we all know about the bridge. River Street Bridge is currently closed to motor vehicle traffic, but it's open to pedestrians. So the bridge proposal, I've seen that they plan a $12.5 million project. It's set to open, actually should say 2025 is, I think the last I heard, to begin in 2025. So my plans is to open potentially at the end of 24 or to be right in line with the opening of the bridge of 2025. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on so you can see, if you know the area here, this is where the bridge is closed. And as you can see, the Suite 420 Wellness is right there. It's on the bridge. So it is open currently to pedestrian traffic, and those businesses there, they're not really fully open until this bridge opens. So this will be a very great chance to redevelop this area with businesses opening and booming again. So about the area, the density control of the area, zoning regulations for the Hyde Park neighborhood district is to provide adequate density controls that protect and establish residential areas and direct growth to areas where growth can be accommodated. Clary Square and Logan Square neighborhood, which is NS2 subdistrict, and the NS2 is neighborhood shopping. So this is in the neighborhood shopping district, and the goal of that district per the city of Boston is to provide convenience, goods, and services to the larger neighborhood and surrounding areas. The NS subdistrict is further subdivided into NS1 and NS2 subdistrict. The latter, NS2, which is where this proposed development will be in, allows for moderately greater floor to area ratio and promotes mixed use development. Both types of neighborhood businesses, subdistricts encourage the development of neighborhood business that provide essential goods and services to, as well as jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for the Hyde Park community. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do here with this type of business. And it's in the correct area for this, is what has been designated for this. So the buffer zone information, there are some special conditions associated with it. So I'll say first that it's not within 500 feet of a public or private school. And this has been verified by Fuss O'Neill, certified surveyors. It's not located within 500 feet of a social services center or a treatment center. It is located just about half a mile of another proposed cannabis business, but this is a cultivation business located at 48 Walter Street that is not open yet. But these businesses are extremely different, as you know, and also they're actually complementary to each other. So they are different. The buffer zone, just wanted to point out, the reasons why it's considered 500 feet is because of impassable barriers. You can read more about that. All right, so parking and transportation. I know this is a hot topic, but if we can have an open mind, I'll go over some of the parking. So there's 5 dedicated employee spaces to my employees. There's 8 additional shared employee spaces for the building because it is a shared commercial space. There's street parking on Hyde Park, there's just 2 spots on River Street. There's some small amount of street parking on Hyde Park Ave. So there is dedicated rear access for the delivery operations and transport. Very secure, very discreet. As we'll talk about a little bit more into the presentation, that these vehicles will be very discreet. And the dedicated rear parking is actually shared parking with the Boston Police Station. And we've talked about that. We've talked about ways to update some areas of, some of that area over there with this type of business coming in. But we're also open to finding out what the community wants to potentially focus on if we were allowed to open in this area. What would we look to do with some of those additional funds that would be coming in? So we can talk about that after, and I'll send my information, but very open to finding out what the community wants to do there. So the Hyde Park Commuter Rail MBTA station at 1 Penbury Street is directly across the street, 250 feet. So this access is of course for commuting, because it is a commuter rail station, but it's also for the 121 parking spaces there. And the research that I've gotten is the only restriction would be there's some parking that you would need to have a T-pass to park there, but it is, I believe it's $1 or $2 an hour or something like that. And it's not very much in use. There is some spots that is open to the public over near the post office as well. So that's all in that same parking lot. So this location has plenty of access to public transportation. It's accessible. There's also the MBTA buses, which is the 50 and the 32, which go right along Hyde Park Ave, which makes this extremely accessible to commuters. So this is just a visual of the location. I'm going to try to zoom in to try to help you kind of follow this. It's not showing up as great as I would want it to there, but this top yellow circle is actually the police station there. As you see the two red lines, those are two liquor stores right around the corner from each other there. And then if you go to the left, the green circle, that is the proposed cannabis business. Right across the street, there's 121 parking spaces. If you follow the little white lines, that's the walking from the train station to this business. So you could walk there, or if it was potentially needed to have handicap access, ADA access, you could actually come around to the front, which is the other white lines going to the right to come up River Street to the left. More importantly, what I wanted to show in this is the parking, because as we know, that is a busy intersection. Even with the bridge closed, it's still a busy intersection, which is River Street and Hyde Park Ave, which is right where this blue and red meet by the liquor store here. So with my proposal, my patrons would not even have to congest any additional traffic in that area. They would come straight down. You could follow the blue line from Talk and Walk on Hyde Park Ave here. If there's any residents on the call, you know where I'm at. So just come down Hyde Park Ave, police station, past Talk and Walk, and you come straight down to Pengree Street and take that left, follow the blue line. And this is all parking. This whole L behind there, over here by the post office, it's just all parking. So it's 121 spaces there. And then if you're coming from the other way, you can also take, you know, the other way, the other side of the blue line, as you can see there. As you can see, this yellow to the left, it is a high school there, but like I said, it is over 500 feet. You know, I do feel, you know, it's been brought up that there's a potential to say maybe close down during the time where school lets out. And if that's something that, you know, you guys decide on as, you know, or kind of bring to me and feel like that's something that we want to do, that's an option. But I would want to challenge the fact that both of those liquor stores are open for let out and there's no issue. And that type of business, like I mentioned before, allows anyone in. You don't have to have an ID to go in. All right, so this is a little bit of a visual of the area. The windows would have either fogged out or blacked out. So the windows would have no recognition of being a cannabis business. There may be a logo potentially on that side there where I have it, but you know, there will be no recognition of what type of business that it was. So it's not, you know, bold saying it's the cannabis business. I did add this to the slide, but I know it's very hard to see, but this is the floor plans. It will be on the record so that if anyone wants to take a look at this in further detail, they would have that to review later as well. So this is just a traffic study that was done. It's just kind of talking about the numbers. It's the average of about 11,500 daily cars that come past this area daily. And that larger number is a monthly count. So a little bit of information about the actual business. So we will have a responsible consumer pledge. And what that is all customers must sign a responsible Hyde Park community customer agreement outlining and agreeing that they have been educated on how to adequately handle, transport, and consume their product. They also agree the following behavior will not be permitted at risk of being banned from the establishment: public consumption of cannabis or any illegal activity under the state and local law, including littering, loitering, causing traffic, illegal parking, or other violations of traffic ordinances. So this would be something that everyone who signed in the very first time they come in, they would have to sign this and they would not be able to come in if they violated this. So this is just showing what a menu could look like. This is just some products and services. So Suite 420 Wellness will offer full line of premium recreational marijuana products. The catalog is of high-grade products that will come in a variety of options focused on well-being. Employees will be highly regarded for their friendly attitude, overall knowledge about cannabis, and they will deliver an unrivaled and charismatic experience. Suite 420 Wellness will ensure that all of our customers are given first-class treatment whenever they visit our store. We will have a relationship management software that will enable us to manage one-on-one relationships with our customers. There'll be online ordering for fast pickup, and then, of course, the home delivery, which will significantly reduce the amount of people that need to be in the store at any one given time, reducing any congestion. So as a responsible neighbor, Suite 420 Wellness will be preventing nuances and have strict ID verification. So that will be 24/7 cameras around the facility for the building security, cameras in the storage area and around the vehicle for product security, anti-break alarms on all windows, vehicle alarms, body cameras, 2-person delivery plan. Once a customer completes a pre-verification process, they can place orders for delivery. Everyone is stopped at the front entrance for ID verification with on-site security personnel. Only patrons 21 plus will be allowed inside the premises by on-site security personnel. We will also be preventing diversion. The use of a state-approved seed-to-sale tracking system by development of chain of custody policies and procedures approved by the state, daily product delivery using unmarked vehicles and randomized routes, anti-diversion training for employees, right to deny sales to any individuals, utilization of appropriate packaging and labeling, storage of marijuana in compliance with 935 CMR 500, automate compliance with over 30 technology integration partners to drive the dispensary performance with online ordering, digital menus, analytics, payment processing, marketplace analytics. Save time by reconciling inventory data with in-app matrix discrepancy management system. Automate cannabis transportation software to optimize B2B and B2C transports. So that's just some of the technology that we'll be using. So this is to show that we will have a secure location. The establishment shall implement sufficient safety measures to deter and prevent unauthorized entrance into the areas containing marijuana and theft of marijuana at the marijuana establishment. Security measures taken by the licensee, myself, to protect the premises. Employees, consumers, and general public shall include but not be limited to positively identifying individuals seeking access, adopting policies and procedures to prevent loitering and ensure that individuals engaging in actively expressly by necessary implication. That's some legal mumbo jumbo. I don't need to go through all that. Disposing of marijuana in accordance in excess with the quality required for normal efficient operations, securing all entrances, establishing limited access areas, some of the ways we will remain secure. And again, to remind you that we are neighbors and sharing a parking lot with the police department. So secure storage that will store all marijuana products in a secure, safe, secure locked safe within a vault, keeping all sales, vaults, and any other equipment or areas used for production. We're not cultivating, but this is just the legal portion of it, for processing that will store it securely, keeping all locks and security equipment in good working order, prohibiting keys, if any, from being left indoors or stored in places placed in a location accessible to persons other than those specifically authorized, prohibiting accessibility of security measures. So our secure plans, we're ensuring that the outside perimeter of the establishment is sufficiently lit to facilitate surveillance, ensuring all marijuana products are kept out of plain sight, developing emergency policies and procedures for securing all products, developing sufficient additional safeguards as required by the commission, sharing the marijuana establishment security plans with law enforcement. So they have easy access to get to us if they need to. So they will have full access of our security plans. And so this is the limited access areas. They will be clearly marked. and that they'll be clearly filled on the diagram for the police department to be able to access if they needed to. So I'm not going to go through all of that, mostly legal. And so this secure deliveries is very similar to the secure facilities that will have the 24/7 cameras in the storage area and in the vehicles that we have the customer check ID, and we have I make sure that the ID matches the address on the order, that there will always be 2 employees in the vehicle at all times. Product has to be kept in a locked box within the vehicle. There's no stops between the dispensary and the customer. The vehicle will be on a tracked GPS the entire time of deliveries. So a little bit about our diversity and inclusion plan. So Suite 420 Wellness is 100% committed to diversity, inclusion, and equity in the workforce, and will maintain a diverse team of not only staff, but also management, leadership, and strategic partnerships with ancillary businesses. Suite 420 Wellness will create and maintain a working environment of collaboration and inclusion, and offer opportunities to empower disenfranchised groups and promote social equity. As I am a social equity awardee myself, so I am not only a social equity awardee, but I'm also a social equity advocate. Commitment to hiring a diverse group of leaders, suppliers, contractors to reflect the demographic of the city of Boston. Encourage a culture of open feedback, supporting employee resource groups, providing mentoring, coaching opportunities, actively working towards increasing diversity in leadership roles, attract and retain a diverse talent. Suite 420 Wellness will also strive to be an employment leader by maintaining 51% or more employees have been Massachusetts residents for 12 months or more. That 51% or more of executives have been Massachusetts residents, and also of the ancillary services. Track, share, and leverage essential metrics like representation and retention, and also create a method of sharing this information with the public as needed or as requested. Build a diversity and inclusion scorecard, such as a quantitative review, to hold leaders accountable and incentivize high scorers. The quantitative review examines how many employees are hired, retained, and promoted from disadvantaged groups. The quantitative review looks at all aspects, such as mentoring and support for employee resource groups. The scorecard is reviewed and reported out monthly and is used in part to determine 15% of the board 15% of the board and 15% of the bonuses. They will get bonuses if they have good reviews. So the employment plan will conduct 50 hours of educational seminars targeted at residents of disproportionate impact. We will help residents who have conviction or continuous other finding for offenses under the law. We will continuously prioritize people of color, women, veterans, and persons with disabilities, and LGBTQ community with employment and leadership opportunities. Strive to develop and demonstrate execution of a diversity plan and positive impact plan as exemplary by the Commission. We will demonstrate support to persons from community disproportionately harmed by marijuana, and we will adhere to Boston living wages ordinances and give priority to Boston residences. We will also offer benefits packages, including health insurance, public transportation subsidies, paid time off, and employee rewards. So for community feedback, I have about 106 letters of support from locals and abutters. I have established a feedback loop as to provide feedback to the community members and other stakeholders by the way of public announcements, open communication, direct contact with direct method of follow-up, and an invitation to this introductory presentation. Also collaboration with the community to create a system of interactive input for the allocation of the 3% community impact fee in regards to civic engagement and or charitable donations and identify community needs. So that will conclude my presentation. I don't know if we will go back to Denyel or if we are just fully open for questions. Oh, back to Denyel, okay.
Yep, thank you so much for that presentation. So at this point, we'll be getting into the Q&A. And before I get into that, I know there are some folks that jumped on a little bit later in the presentation. So just as a reminder, this is being recorded. You'll be able to access this on YouTube in the next couple of weeks. If you would like to be notified of when that will be open to the public, just send me an email. My email's on the flyer that you all received. I'll also make sure to say it before we adjourn this evening and put it in the chat. With that being said, if you do have a question or a comment, let's please try to limit it to a 2-minute time frame. If everyone who has their hand raised or who has a question or a comment has spoken, then we can loop back around and address other comments. But initially, I just want to leave it to that 2-minute time frame. After this meeting, if you feel like there are any questions or comments that come up and you would like to submit any testimony in regards to this proposal, please just reach out to myself through email, or you can reach out to the Cannabis Board directly, and I'll put that information in the chat and state that as well at the end of the meeting. If you're not familiar with the Zoom platform, at the bottom of your screen, if you're joining us virtually, there should be a smiley face reaction icon. So if you do have a question, you click that icon and then there should be a raise hand. And that's how you can just show me that you have a question or you'd like to leave a comment. If you're joining us through telephone, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and then it'll be *6 to unmute. And if, again, you're too unfamiliar with the Zoom platform, just try to, if you can, take yourself off or put yourself on video and just wave your hand and I'll unmute you myself if I'm able to. The chat is also an option as well. I see Daniel's hand is raised. So if you can just click the unmute button on your screen and then you can.
Hi, it's not Daniel, it's Michelle.
Oh, hi Michelle, how are you?
How are you? My question for the lady who just present. As I they have like 2 schools near 1295. How they will consider the kids, because they have high school at, I believe, Trinity High School, and the kids sometimes they use kids older to buy weeds. How they're going to impact the community because of this project for the school near. They have 2 schools, Greenwood and Trinity.
Thank you,
Yes.
Michelle.
Can I respond?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Before you respond, I also want to add that there's a 3rd school. It's a little bit far, but it's still in the neighborhood, the Academic of Pacific Rim.
Yeah, Hyde Park definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hyde Park
Yes.
definitely has a lot of schools just in general. But in the area, there are a few schools. But Janice, I'll let you take over and address the comment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So yes, there are a lot of schools in the area, and we have taken that into account, and we are within the distance that Boston requires us to be away from a school. And you know, I will take into consideration, like I mentioned, I know someone has suggested before to potentially close for an hour during the school let out. So I am open to more communications about that, but I would challenge to say that the liquor stores do remain open at that time. The liquor stores allow teenagers in the liquor store because they could buy chips or anything else that's there. And, you know, and they don't, you know, have that problem, where this will be even more secure than that. And they be security at the door, and they cannot get them without an ID. And I do understand that your idea of someone could potentially pass them something. But there is so many cameras in that area. This would add to the cameras. But again, I am open to a further discussion about potentially closing for that 1 hour for the school let out, which it seems to be about 3 to 4. And, you know, we can talk more about that.
It's because I'm the one who asked question. I believe this project is too close to the schools because as somebody just put in the chat, liquor store is not cannabis, and we have a problem with a minority already in the neighborhood. But it might be the kids somehow they will buy weed, and that can affect the school time, the school work. I think these two, because they have one in Madapen already, and now they have one in a Hyde Park.
So
Okay.
yes, the
Thank
one
you,
in
Michelle.
Mattapan, thank you. The one in Mattapan, I know is not open yet. It is on the way to open. So you know, Hyde Park with not having one is missing out on a lot of tax revenues. I do understand what you're saying about the potential of children, but with it being so highly secure and with there being so many cameras in the area, you know, I do think that should be taken into consideration. And also, you know, like I mentioned with the 2 liquor stores. But again, if it's an idea to have that 1 hour where, you know, during the students let out, where the store is closed, you know, that's a huge possibility as well. And also, I did want to mention that, you know, that the potential child that even might think of something like that, they would potentially go elsewhere and get it, whether that's outside with a stranger who may have something contaminated. You know, there's a lot of episodes of fentanyl being contaminated and things. So to be getting it off the street.
Your device is breaking up a little bit, Junius.
Okay, so it would just be worse for them to try to get it off the street because it could be contaminated with anything. So, you know, I'm just saying that at least this is a very secure procedure and process, and it's not for children, and children won't be there.
Thank you.
It is not. I live on River Street. Yes, that I'm sorry. If you want me to go back to that screen, I can show you where the police station and this intersects. If you need me to go to that.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay, and Jenny, I'm just gonna
Mhm.
ask that you stay muted until I ask you to unmute, but thank you for your comments as well. And Michelle, thank you for your comments. Yes, Janice, if you don't mind pulling that up really quickly, and then I'm gonna go to Elaine next.
No problem.
Thank you. And Michelle, if you can, yep, you did it already. Perfect. Thank you. But anyone who I've gotten to, please just click the raise hand icon again so your hand can be lowered. And after I've called on you, if a question comes up again, you can re-raise it, but just so I know that
Okay.
you've been called on.
So I just want to show you the intersection of Hyde Park Avenue, River Street. As you know, that's the talk and walk that's here. The police station is right next to that at the very top corner, circled in yellow. As you see the back parking lot to the police station, if you look right over the green circle where the dispensary proposed to be, it shares the parking lot with the police station. So the only way to get into the parking lot there for either the employees or the delivery or the transport would be to go through the police station parking lot. So not only does it have the additional securities that it has with the cameras and the security systems and the security personnel, it's literally in the police's parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Elaine, please, if you can unmute yourself next. Thank you.
Hi, so your ISD refusal letter seems to indicate that you are within 500 feet of a school, so I'm a little confused about that. If you could clarify that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. I know that that is a little bit confusing. So let me go back to the screen and show you that portion of it again. One moment. So I'll just go back to the same picture to show you the proximity of the school, which is the bottom yellow with the white here to the left. That's the school. And actually, I have a better slide to show that. I apologize, 1 second. So this is it. These slides show it here. So The normal way to get the distance is a straight line, and that's what was used. But because of this process, the way to define the distance is impossible barriers. So you can't walk through the post office to get to the school. You have to walk around. So that's just taking into account how you actually walk step by step to there. And that makes it over 500 feet if you account step by step versus walking. You can't walk through the post office and through the buildings and that. So because of that, and that has been verified by a licensed surveyor.
So ISD is going to retract the refusal letter, the violation?
Sure. So no, oh, so what happens is this entire process is to get an, excuse me, let me stop sharing. This entire process is to appeal the ISD refusal. So in the process of appealing the ISD refusal, I have hired a contractor to do the survey. I'm going through this community process because the community does have the chance to put input. And the next step after this would be to actually have the appeal meeting with the zoning board, where I would then present to them all the findings as well. So to answer your question, it's not that they take it back, but they would potentially approve it because they see, everything that I would be presenting to them as well.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Elaine, thank you for that question. And Janice, thank you for the clarification on that as well, about going before the zoning board when it comes to this proposal. I'm gonna go to Helena next.
Hi, thank you very much for taking my questions. I'm sorry, I popped on late. Is the front entrance to the dispensary in the police parking lot area, or is it facing River Street?
It's facing River Street. That is the back entrance. And so that back entrance would be for the secure deliveries, the transport of the actual product, and then also that I would have the delivery cars. So transport of the product business to business and also business to customer. So that's what that door would be used for.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, you might have mentioned this earlier in your presentation. Are you providing any community benefits to the Hyde Park area with this dispensary?
So I am, hoping to have an open line of communication with the community. I have reached out and I have contact information for different community liaisons and leaders for different associations. I know I've reached out to you as well. And so after the meeting, I'll reach out again to see, what are the concerns and almost like a chance to vote. I'm very open to get your feedback and your insight on what it is we can use the things for. So there will be a 3% community impact fee. And so those things can go towards, certain donations or certain community initiatives. And so I'm more than open to find out, what some of those things might be and absolutely put them into effort. I am from the area. I grew up in I'm sorry. Yes.
No, thank you for answering that question. And we would definitely appreciate your follow-up in regards to that, so we can have that conversation with neighbors. And my final question actually is for Denyel. There was a meeting last year for 117 River Street for a cannabis dispensary. Was that initially approved? Because
1174.
1174.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about.
No, that didn't end up.
Okay. Okay. I just want to see in proximity of these different dispensaries.
No, we have low key, but that low key dispensary, but that's not for retail and anything like that. So this is again would be the first proposal, or if approved, the first cannabis dispensary in Hyde Park with that.
Okay, and Ms. Israel, thank you again for your presentation. But independently, I am saying that I do have a bit of a concern about the close proximity to the school. I'm not sure how ISD uses its mapping, to determine 500 feet from door entrance, maybe to door entrance, I don't know. But that is a concern of mine. And maybe we can have a detailed discussion about that, because I do like the idea of closing from a particular time while school is let out at minimum. But again, that's just at minimum. Thank you again for your presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. I'm definitely going to be following up on all of the feedback that I get. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Selena, thank you so much. And just to go back to your question and to Elaine's about the ISD refusal letter, I can also reach out to ISD and get in touch with the plans examiner and get a little bit of clarity from their end in perspective, and relay that to you all as well.
Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. I don't see any additional hands raised. Jenny, did you have any more questions or comments? And then Kizzy, I'll get to you as well right after.
My question was going to be on the proximity, and it was asked. That's why I lowered my hand.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, I hear you, and I'll definitely get back to both. Actually, Jenny, I don't think I have your contact, so I'll make sure I find a way to get it, or I'll send you mine. So I'll make sure that I'll get back to you with answers to your questions as well.
Okay, I'm privately sending it to you. My email
Okay.
address. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
But if I want to add something, personally, I'm opposed to it because I have two kids at home. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. My 13, he likes to go out. He likes to go to the store. I mean, there's nothing wrong about going to the store, but what about if he's passing by and people are just standing there smoking? I don't know if they do that or not. What about passing by and then by accident, a piece of whatever they bought in dropped on the street? What are you doing? I mean, in this Hyde Park community, we already dealing with a lot with the kids. So now to come and add this, I mean, I know, I understand all the precaution you are going through, you're sharing the parking lot with the Boston police, but if there's an incident, the Boston police is not gonna go through the parking lot. They're gonna take their car to go around and come on River Street. That's what they're gonna do. So by the time they get there, who knows what can happen? We don't know. And also, someone else put it in the chat saying that the kids buy weed anyways. Yes, they do buy weed anyway. But guess what? How do they buy weed? They get an adult who likes weed, buy it for them, and they use it. So if it's far away from Hyde Park, good. But to make it right there accessible, right after school, even if school gets out at 2:00 and you say, okay, we're gonna close from 2 to 3, you have extracurricular activities.
Jenny, I'm just gonna interject really quickly just because I want to stick to the agenda and make sure we're on schedule. No, thank you. And I also want to allow Janice to respond, but before that, I just do want to make it clear to everyone that, again, this is not a debate on the legalization of marijuana. So at some point, there are going to be dispensaries in Hyde Park. So when we're directing questions at Ms. Janice, if it's the concern about this particular location and the proximity of the schools, let's make sure that we address that specifically and not get into not liking marijuana or wanting dispensaries, period, in Hyde Park, because again, we already voted on that. That's something that's going to happen throughout the city in every neighborhood. So let's just make sure that we focus on this specific proposal. But Janice, I want to give you an opportunity to respond as well.
I'm sorry. Just so Denyel, so are you saying this meeting is for what? It's not for us to lay out our position. It's just for us to listen to what Ms. Israel has to say and then say, okay, thank you for the information.
No, definitely not. This is a community meeting to get the input and feedback of the neighbors and the community. So for the public in general, this was posted and.
Yes, I
the-
understand that, but the question, my
Right.
clarification
Miss
is,
Jenny, I just want to be able to finish, and then I also want to be able for us to get back on track. But you are correct. This is a meeting for the community. But with that being said, I don't want us to get into topics about the legalization of marijuana or about not wanting dispensaries in the Hyde Park area. I wanted to be focused on this specific proposals, whether it's about questions about the community benefits, or like you, Miss Jenny, did state, and several others, about the specific radius that it is within the school zones, or about the refusal letter that the Inspectional Services Department. Those are specific things to this proposal. And I also want to just make sure that we get on that 2-minute timeline so that we can get to as many questions and comments as possible. But when I did make that statement, that was general. That wasn't directed towards what you were just specifically saying. I just wanted to remind folks, because folks did jump on a little bit later. And again, I just wanted this to remain a respectful meeting, and for us to just make sure that we're directing specific questions to either myself or to Ms. Janice. But thank you.
Thank you. So my feedback from that is that this will be a highly secure facility, that police will have full access and information to all of the security entrances and exits. And I know, you know, I would have to talk to them to find out specifically, would they come to my back door, but they would have full access and diagrams, information on how to get there. So yes, a potential that they may drive, but I would have on-site security as well. It will be fully recorded, with the recordings going in real time to the Cannabis Control Commission and to the police station. These are going to be live feeds of everything that's going on in the facility to both establishments, which is the Cannabis Control Commission and the police department. So you know, we have taken full precautions, and when it comes to underage children trying to, like, say, sneak in or in some kind of way sneak product, I would say that, you know, it just comes with education, you know, educating them on what's going on, and that, you know, that's they shouldn't do that. It's illegal and they can't. And like I said, we'll have cameras, we'll have every aspect of trying to prevent it. And everywhere in Boston is going to eventually have a dispensary. So, you know, that's just something to keep an open mind about, that it really comes with, you know, education.
Thank you. Jenny, if you do have another question or comment, please re-raise your hand once I'm able to loop back to the other folks. Kizzy, if you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kizzy Key, and I am a Boston resident for over 20 years. I'm actually currently a Hyde Park resident. I'm actually not too far from the location. I actually have nieces and nephews that goes to that school right down there. I'm very comfortable. I support this project. I am in agreement of everyone of that. Weed is here, it is legal, and that is going to come whether we like it or not. I would rather see a business like Janice's come in than someone else that is not. Janice did a good presentation. She's actually even want to work with guys of giving back to the community. I don't think that's going to be any more other campuses that's going willing to be doing that. And also with the whole kid thing, the whole thing is that cannabis establishments have, I don't know if you guys know, but they take your ID twice. So if that person is outside that thing of giving anybody cannabis, they will be captured immediately. So I want to see why would you want something that's more private, something more intimate, something that you can actually get someone lawful for, compared to them getting off the streets, because that's actually probably where they're getting it from. But I just want to say that I am supporting this 100%. I actually am a Hyde Park resident, and I would love to see this project as a go.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Thank you, Kizzy, for your comments. If you could just lower your hand for me. I'm going to go to Christopher next. Oh, before I get to Christopher, but you are next. I also just want to recognize for the video some of the comments that are in the chat. So again, there are some feedback about it being too close to some of the schools in the area. So folks seeming as though they're in opposition, and then we have someone who stated that they are in support of this and it's economically beneficial for the neighborhood. So I just wanted to make sure that that was stated as well. So Christopher, if you could unmute yourself next.
Yes,
Thank you.
two clarification questions. Are we legally obligated to have a dispensary in every neighborhood of Boston? Is that how the law is written?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, so no, it's not a stipulation that it needs to be in every neighborhood. It's just that Boston set aside that it needs to be a certain number before, they put any restrictions. And we're still in that open period where, we still, need a number of them. So no, to answer your question, it's not legally obligated to be in each neighborhood, but the neighborhoods that it's in, not only do the property values go up, there's tax incentives, initiatives, there's, community engagement, there's charitable donation, there's things that benefit the community.
So that's question number one. Question number two is you keep referring to taxes. However, there is no budget per se for Hyde Park. It is the city of Boston overall budget. So I am finding it a bit disingenuous to imply that the tax revenue is going to come right back to Hyde Park because it is a city budget. Am I mistaken in that?
I may have to refer to Danielle for that question. I don't want to answer it incorrectly, but I know that there is funds that the licensee designates goes towards charitable incentives and community engagement. So I know specifically that's directly to Hyde Park. But as far as the 3%, whether it goes to all Boston versus Hyde Park, that would be something that maybe Danielle can answer. Not, I'd have to get back to you. I'm not sure if you're on mute, Danielle, but I don't hear you.
Yes, thank you.
No.
Christopher, I do not know the answer to that question right now, but I can find it out and I can follow up with you. So if you could just provide, either put it in the chat or just provide some contact info for me, and then also you have my email address and contact information.
And then just one observation and then one final question. Observation was that this meeting notice was buried at the bottom of the Hyde Park weekly email that you sent out, Danielle. And we need to figure out a way of putting the public hearings at the top of that weekly email.
Okay,
Because
for sure.
If I hadn't kept scrolling.
Yeah, okay, I'll make sure to do that. Definitely. Yeah, I'll send separate emails when it comes to meetings like this separately. But
my final question goes back to the building. The building houses, I think Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley's office houses a couple other businesses. Is there an elevator in that building?
No, there's not. The ADA access, and if you I could send you the floor plan there, but the ADA access will actually be through a side door that's through the back. It was towards the back, The side door is already ADA accessible and it goes straight to the first floor. So if you're coming from the front, it's actually down flight of stairs, but if you're coming from that door, it is straight through from the back. And so this is a cannabis certified architectural team that has developed this plan, and it will be in alignment with what Massachusetts and Boston requires.
I think just as someone that does this from a professional standpoint, the dollar value that you are investing in this building, you are likely going to trigger a full 521 CMR upgrade for that whole building. And so you may want to be cautious about what you're getting into, because that building does not have an elevator.
Actually, the building does have an elevator that's
It
not
does.
used. That's not what I'm going to be using for the facility.
Okay,
Sorry, I should have answered that a little more correctly,
okay.
but
All right, then you're probably gonna be okay.
oh, I
I
see.
didn't want you to get surprised when you
Really, yeah.
see the building.
Actually, I really appreciate that feedback, because that was a very contentious point. Of course, you know, the distance was one, and the other one was if we would need an elevator, what's happening with an elevator, how we're going to confirm that we'll have ADA access where it's the same experience for the other door. So, you know, that was a contentious point. So I appreciate you bringing that up and reminding me to let you guys know that I did have a plan for that. So thank you very much for that feedback.
So you're using that door. How are you providing an accessible route from Hyde Park to that door? Because
So-
that driveway is quite steep.
So you said, how would I be providing the same experience?
Yeah.
So it's a very uniquely shaped building, I will say. So you know, coming through from the back, it's actually in line, it's level. So there's, you know, no stairs. So it's level, it's coming back. And as I mentioned, the front would be down the stairs, but it would be a central hallway. And in the middle of that hallway will be a reception area. And the reception area is where everyone will get checked in. And that's where everyone would come into the facility. So because everyone would be coming to the facility through that centralized door and the centralized same experience for them to actually walk into the doors of the dispensary or come into the doors of the dispensary, that's how I will make it the similar experience.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again,
Chris,
this has been
Thank you.
certified and verified by a licensed, you know, I can get you more information. We can talk to Kavanaugh Architects, because this is, you know, been certified by very expensive, but very good architectural company. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you
Sure,
so
you're very
much.
welcome. Thank you. I really do appreciate that feedback.
It would also be great if at the end of this meeting, you could provide some contact information for people to be able to reach out to you if they have questions about the actual location or your application or anything like that. The presentation will be available, so if anybody reaches out to me, I can share that with you. Again, this will be posted on YouTube as well, and please continue to send any questions or comments and feedback to myself as well as the Cannabis Board, and I'll provide that information at the end of the meeting. I
Can
do
I
see, yep, go ahead, sorry.
On to, I'm seeing some of the chat a
Yeah,
little bit.
absolutely.
I did see
Jump in,
one
thank you.
question about real estate, and I just wanted to speak to that. I've been a realtor in Boston for 22 years, and I have helped a lot of people. Like I mentioned, I'm on the Boston Cannabis Control Commission's website as a pro bono real estate expert in the cannabis space specifically. I've helped other cannabis businesses with their locations, every license type. And I will say, yes, absolutely, that a cannabis business will bring up property value, because it's as any type of renovation or, you know, reintegration of a neighborhood, of an area, call it gentrification, call it whatever you want to call it. But of course, as you bring in new business, state-of-the-art buildings and facilities, this kind of thing. So yes, that does bring up the property value because people, want to be near that. And so I do have actually articles that can help support that. And I will be more than happy to share that information with you and show how in Boston specifically, these businesses have brought up the property value in the areas where they have been in. Now, I can't say anything about, inflation and if the interest rates go up and, I can't say anything to that, but specifically to the fact that the cannabis businesses do bring in, higher property values. And it's been proven, and
Thank you.
it's been proven, and I can send feedback on that. So.
Thank you. We can go to Demarius next, or Damaris. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that.
It's okay. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you.
I would just like to show my support for Janice for the 420 Wellness. My name is Damaris, and I live in Holyoke, Massachusetts. I don't live in Boston, but I am also a cannabis business owner, also equity applicant in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and I'm in full support of the dispensary. And to talk about Janice, if there's any business owner you want in Hyde Park, it's going to definitely be Janice. She's an amazing person, very involved in the community. She's helped me a lot out here in Holyoke. She's come out to my events. She's helped me with cleanups over here. We clean up the community. Holyoke has a lot of drugs, a lot of black and browns. Like a lot of people are concerned with the schools. We have dispensaries and cultivations next to the schools. What we do in Holyoke is we educate, educate, and educate. So best of all is educating is the key. So I know Janice as a smart lady, because Janice, she's a very smart lady. She even went to Harvard. You see her there. So if she has some good education behind her, she will make sure the community gets all the education they need. She will make sure she is part of the community. And like I said, if there's any business owner you would like in your neighborhood, it should be Janice. She comes from the Boston area. Like I said, educated Black woman. We want to see more Black business owners, especially in the cannabis world. And let's support her. And like everybody is saying, there is going to be cannabis dispensaries in the future. Okay, they will come. So why not be the first Black woman, be the first cannabis dispensary? Let's support Janice. Let's not work against her. Yes, the kids with cannabis, you could get it anywhere. You don't need an adult to buy cannabis, but you do need an adult to buy liquor. Remember that, everybody. You need an adult to buy liquor in the liquor store, and kids cannot go inside the dispensaries. There is so many rules with a cannabis store compared to a liquor store. And I just want everybody to do their homework, look stuff up, Google, educate, contact Janice, contact the cannabis board. Just don't disregard her business because you guys have kids or people don't agree. Let's educate ourselves because like you guys said, dispensaries and cannabis is not going anywhere. We need to educate ourselves, educate the neighborhoods, educate the Black and brown kids. And I just want to say thank you for everybody's concern, and Janice will be a great asset to your community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Damaris. Thank you. And I did see a text come through from Julia that says she supports. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not getting all the texts that coming in quickly, but thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm monitoring the chat as well. And in the chat, it's a pretty mixed opinion on in support or feelings of opposition or in opposition. So thank you, Damaris, for those comments. If you could lower your hand, and then I see Elaine's hand is re-raised. So Elaine, you can unmute. Thank you.
Hi, I'd like a little more detail on the manufacturing and wholesale aspects of the business. What exactly you'd be manufacturing, what the facility and process involves, and also who you anticipate your wholesale partners to be. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So with the wholesale delivery, like I mentioned, there's actually a third entrance. So there's 3 entrances to the facility. So there's a third dedicated entrance for deliveries, employees, and business to business transport of the actual product. So With that, the delivery, there's an area where deliveries, be packaged and be ready to take it out for delivery. And then with the manufacturing, there's another area that has a small kitchen. Of course, there'll be more additional things, renovations going into it, but it has like a small kitchen area with the sink. And so the manufacturing is not going to be large manufacturing equipment. It's going to be very small desktop size equipment where I could potentially make pre-rolls, also do packaging. And with that will come branding opportunities. And so this is going to be a huge area of potential revenue for community. I have a huge push for community people, or what we call legacy market, people who may have had a conviction for marijuana in the past, to be able to work with me as ancillary businesses, as brand creators. If you think of a liquor store, you think of the different brands that go into that. So from the small room that we'll have in our dispensary, we'll be able to create brands, create pathways for people to actually get into this industry, who belong in this industry, who unfortunately, because of the rules and regulations, are not able to get into this industry. So it's also opportunity potentially for the neighborhood, potentially to come up with something, however we decide to do it, where that could be a revenue stream for the neighborhood or whatever charity's been designated. So that's mostly what the manufacturing license is for. There'll be small equipment that size that would be able to potentially do like pre-rolls, vape pens, different products, whether it be lotions or tinctures, and this kind of thing. But it won't be any solvent large equipment processes.
And your wholesale partners, are they across the city that you're going to be wholesaling to?
Wholesaling to?
Is that,
So
maybe I'm misunderstanding the business, what you're saying?
okay, so I think maybe you're talking about the wholesale delivery.
Yes.
Okay, so the wholesale delivery is an opportunity for me to go business to straight to consumer. So I will be able to not only allow people within the facility to come in and purchase, but people can make online purchases, and my delivery drivers would drive it to them on a daily basis. They're only allowed to have a small amount per trip. The vehicles are unmarked. They are highly secure. There's 2 drivers have to be in the vehicles at each time for every delivery. They are completely tracked from the time that they're there to wherever they're going, GPS, video, body cams. But the wholesale is anyone over 21, of course, that can match their ID with their order on their license. They can make these orders online, and my delivery driver will drive it to them. So they call it wholesale delivery, but it's actually just almost like an online dispensary. And that will clear up any potential congestion that would be in the store, because most people are not going to stay in the store for too long, or they actually have the option to be able to get this wholesale delivery.
Okay, so it's not business to business. It's just
No.
delivery for customers.
Yes, to customers. Now, there will be potentially some business to business with the manufacturing license. If the certain brand is large enough, it's potential that, that could, offer that to other dispensaries and this kind of thing, but it's still not really any business to business, except the transport of the product to the store. That's the only business to business, really.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Go ahead, Kathleen. Oh, you're currently muted. If you just mind re-clicking the microphone, you'll be unmuted.
Okay. I just want to say I appreciate the effort you put into your whole process. It seems very detailed. I do have concerns about, we talked about 3 or 4 schools nearby. I don't know that picking a time to close is going to help, because the schools may not all get out at the same time. Here's my real concern. It sounds like you have a very detailed security process in your building, but having a camera outside will only record if somebody's getting beaten up for their money or whatever. It won't help you stop that event from happening. I don't see people parking by the post office. In fact, even for the post office, they double park on Hyde Park Ave. what's gonna happen is people will double park right there on the bridge to run in there and get their stuff because they're not gonna be bothered parking around the corner or down the block. There's also the Joseph Malone around the corner. I don't know how many people will walk from there. I walk up to Cleary Square a lot, and I would have to look over my shoulder every time about what's going on outside your business of people who are either, I don't see the clientele as being very, like the customer pledge, they'll sign it, and who's going to follow it? We have trouble just down the street having people pass through 2 stop signs that say do not enter, and they continue to enter. People don't follow directions. They're going to just do what they want to do. I've been here for 40 years and Hyde Park is getting worse and the crime is not getting better. And I appreciate that you want to have a business and I hope it could be successful, but I'm concerned about security in this area. You know, basically that's what I want to say, but I hope, I can see maybe that's the trend, but I don't know. I don't want to see it around here because I hope I'm probably going to have to be here longer myself and I want to feel safe and I don't already feel safe.
Well,
Thank
I
you for
will
your
say
comments,
this
Kathleen.
is the type of business that would help with everyone's safety because there's so many cameras and so much. I'm not sure if John Briner is on the call to talk a little bit more about security and the security measures. If not, I can't scroll through the see, so I don't think so. I probably would have.
I believe he was at one point. Let me look through and see.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
So I will say that this type of businesses is more security for the entire neighborhood. I will say with schools being too close, that is a designation that Boston allowed, and it's within the designation that Boston allowed for these types of businesses to be this distance away from schools. I can take every effort to like I said, the security pledge, we could add on the pledge about, of course, this is illegal. They can't be outside smoking. They could get arrested and go to jail. So, even without a dispensary here, like you see somebody potentially walking down the street doing that, they can go to jail. So there's, further than, me adding that on to some of the restrictions that would not allow them in the facility or ban them from the facility. It's also an option for them to potentially go to jail for it. So if I was something that was on the camera that was caught them doing, it's illegal. So, I don't know what other precautions I can take besides it being illegal, but it's not, you'll be walking by and people will be outside smoking. That's not possible with this type of business because it's illegal. And it's highly regulated, highly recorded and secure.
Thank you, Kathleen, for those comments and questions. And Janice, thank you for the clarification and your feedback on that. I'm gonna jump to Dan next.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to say after that comment, because I think it's a totally fair thing to understand. Like, someone is going to be buying this product and this potential for loitering or for double parking. I too have seen double parking outside of a lot of the establishments on Hyde Park Ave. I think that's something that, maybe just we in the community can try to deal with the fact that the E5 police station is right there. I think they, we want to hold them a little bit more accountable to making sure people aren't doing things like that. And I do just want to mention that I travel a lot. I've been around, a lot of places where dispensaries have been legal in states like Colorado and California and other places before Massachusetts. And those businesses themselves don't actually tend to have a lot of loitering because there is such a heavy security presence and there's a lot of cameras. So the people who would have a tendency to loiter are less, they're a little bit intimidated by that. So just anecdotally, I don't know if there's any studies on that or anything, but I just thought that might help.
I definitely appreciate that feedback, Dan. Thank you so much. And it's very true. Between if they were to double park on Hyde Park Ave, we literally double parking at the police station. That's how close we are. So it's just it's potential. Maybe I can have my security go out for the first few months and have an extra security personnel who can kind of make sure that doesn't happen. But it's really not possible because even though it is somewhat of a quick transaction, you have to come through down the stairs, check your ID, go to the line, look, figure out what you want, maybe have a conversation with a bud tender. It's not something where you just double park and just jump in. And then there's also other things other than flour that's being consumed. There's some products, there's perfumes, lotions, things for your dogs. I mean, there's all types of products that are infused with cannabis that are used in all different types of areas. So most people who are coming in, yes, it will be quick, but it will be more like a consultative type of situation. They're gonna have questions. They're not double parking. They're coming in to have an experience. And with the technology that I'll have there, with the wellness focus, potentially clinicians to kind of answer some questions on which strains can help with which ailments and this kind of thing. It's going to be a sit down, situation. It's not going to be let me double park and run in here. It's like, let me go in here so I can figure out what's a plan for the week or what's a plan for so I do appreciate your feedback, everyone, about the double parking and the traffic, but I just did want to point that out. And thank you again, Dan.
Thank you for your comments, Dan. I just want to remind folks of a couple of things. So in terms of some follow-up action items, I will make sure that I reach out to ISD and the plans examiner and touch base with why their refusal letter was issued within that school buffer zone. And I will make sure to follow up with you, Helena, as well as Elaine on that. And then additionally, yes, go ahead, Janice.
I'm sorry, can I ask, is Kathleen O'Shea still on the call?
I believe so. Yes, Kathleen, Catherine, if you
Hi,
could unmute.
Janice.
Oh, hi, thank you so much. I apologize. So I didn't know if there was anything that you could add about that process. I know you may have worked with ISD before with something like that, as far as refusal letter.
Hi, everybody. I will just introduce myself for the record. My name is Catherine O'Shea, and I'm a transportation engineer with Fuss & O'Neill. Our office is located at 115 Broad Street in the financial district of Boston, and I helped with the traffic impact study that we worked on for this project. And we also contracted the services of a land surveyor to certify the distance from the schools. Typically, I'm not involved in any of the coordination or communication with the inspectional services department, but we have prepared distance certifications for a number of dispensaries with potential buffer zone conflicts. And in this case, the door-to-door walking distance between both of the closest schools exceeds 500 feet. And in my experience, that wouldn't be that then you're without a buffer zone conflict. But I'm not sure about the process of that appeal with the inspectional services department. I don't have experience in how that works.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Catherine. So I will reach out to ISD and the plans examiner for some clarification on their comments and the violations that were issued. But as Ms. Janice did mention, this will be going before the zoning board, not just the cannabis board, because of some of the violations being that buffering zone. So they will need to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals for a hearing to get approved for that. So definitely please continue to submit any comments you have, any questions, any concerns you may have to myself through email. You can also email those comments to the Cannabis Board or directly to the Zoning Board. I've put all of that information in the chat. Additionally, my email address is on the flyer you all received. Janice, before we adjourn this meeting, if you could just leave some contact information for folks to be able to touch base with you as well, that'd be great. And then in addition to that, Janice did confirm with me notice of flyering through certified mail, as well as CCing me on all the outreach to some of the community stakeholders and neighborhood groups. After this meeting, at some point this week, if you could reach out again to specifically the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. Elaine is in attendance on this meeting, as well as the Grew Park Neighborhood Association. Because particularly those two neighborhood groups are in that radius of coverage. So just reach out to them and see if they would like you to attend one of their upcoming meetings and be on an agenda to give a similar presentation and talk about your proposal.
Yes. All right. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody again for coming out. I want to thank you for your input, your passions into this. You know, I appreciate everyone's feedback, everyone, because you know, this is a community. This is something that we have to do together if we're going to do it. And so I really appreciate your feedback. And I will get back to you with the things I couldn't answer. And you know, we'll see if we can do this.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Catherine, for joining as well and jumping in on that
Thank you so
last
much.
question. I want to just thank everyone who came and attended this meeting, who left comments, asked questions. It's important that we're all participating in things that are going to impact our community. So I definitely just want to make that statement and thank you all for attending this meeting. And I hope everyone has a safe rest of your week and a great night. And again, this will be a video that is posted publicly on YouTube within the next upcoming week. So be sure to check that out there or reach out to me through email and I can send you that link directly as well. So thank you so much. And we can conclude the meeting at this point. Hope everyone has a great night.
Good night, everyone.